Welcome to the June meeting of the Lynbrook Board of Education. This meeting will be held obviously remotely. If we can get a flag up, Mr. Yeager will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America
States of America,
and to the republic
to the republic,
and
it
one
stands,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to roll call. All board members are present. Also in attendance, we have Superintendent Melissa Burak, Assistant Superintendent Paul Lynch, Assistant Superintendent Terry Balekis, Assistant Superintendent Maureen Berman, District Clerk Teresa Moran, and Attorney for the District Florence Frazier. Before we move on, everybody's muted. Before we move on, just as we have been doing every week, the Board of Ed has been very sensitive to the requests of communication from the community. So what we've been doing is we've been having these weekly meetings in addition to the updates coming from the administration and your building principals every Friday. So just to touch base on some of those things that we talked about, as everyone knows, the senior prom has been canceled. It was requested that we advise the community that there is a Facebook page for the community that is running this event for the seniors called Prom Lynbrook High School Class of 2020. You can get your information from there and participate in the process for the seniors. As far as graduations, they begin, I believe, on Friday. Your building website will have details if you don't have that information already. On Tuesday, there will be a ceremony for the seniors taking place at the high school. And as of now, the senior graduation is still scheduled for July 22nd. But as we know, that is a very fluid process. Every day, as you'll hear during this meeting, we get new information from the governor about what's going to take place. So his change recently about allowing 150 people did nothing for any of the high schools in New York and confounds me as to what he thought he was accomplishing by doing that. So again, as of July 22nd, but as soon as we get new information, as we've been doing, we're pushing the information out to the community. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock is the Music Awards. That should be a great event. That link and information will be on the website. Also, just want to take a moment to thank the administration and all those involved for what was an excellent job done these past few nights with last week with the senior awards for our seniors, a very difficult process to do remotely. I think it was very well done. It was very meaningful. It really took what the kids had accomplished into account, and it had a lot of heart and soul to it. And again, the same thing that took place during the varsity dinner this week, where I think the staff did an excellent job of taking the time to put that all together. I think it's important that everyone understands just how difficult it is to have all those different moving parts at the same time. We had live people, live staff members moderating and hosting that event, and that was combined with recorded events. And I don't think anyone could appreciate what took place more so than this administration, this board greatly appreciates the effort of our technician. And if she could pop her face up real fast. Okay, Serpent, can you show your face up for a second and give a wave out?
I'm here.
Right. So this young lady is pretty much the Wizard of the Oz when it comes to what goes behind the curtain. What you see as a very seamless process is extremely difficult, takes a great deal of skill and a great deal of time. And this young lady is the one who made that process work for everyone. So we greatly appreciate your efforts and everything you've done. Thank you very much. And now, Dr. Burak, presentations to you.
Billy, one thing.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say one thing. For the varsity dinner, we also would like to thank the Moms and Dads Club because they are a big part of putting that all together and getting together a lot of the scholarship money that goes to the athletes.
Thank you, Mrs. Marcus.
Mr. Bellman, I think you're doing the presentations. Tenure grantees?
Oh, here we go. So I have nothing but at this time the names, and Terry, we're going to be doing that by consent agenda.
Okay. All right. I'll go through it. I'll go through it then. If you want to do it by consent agenda. So I'm pleased to announce June is usually a very festive meeting for us. We're usually in the cafeteria. We usually have a tenure reception for our awardees this evening, but unfortunately, I hope everyone got a chance to celebrate at home before this meeting and before the tenure recommendations are approved by the Board of Education. So tonight, we are actually recognizing and congratulating the following people for their tenure recommendation. I will start with our administrator, none other than Principal of West End School, Dr. Cindy Lee. So congratulations, Dr. Lee. Get the applause. It's the 740 applause. Colleen Kiss, speech teacher. Congratulations, Colleen Kiss. Corinne Teichman. She is an elementary teacher. She oversees our Voyager program. She is our Voyager teacher. So congratulations, Corinne. Joanne Gaddy, elementary teacher at West End School. Congratulations. Kimberly Leonard, elementary, specifically at the Kindergarten Center. Congratulations, Kimberly. Michelle Puglisi, special education at Marion Street. Congratulations, Michelle. Nicole Ferry, mathematics teacher at North Middle School. Congratulations. And last but certainly not least, Rebecca Krieger, foreign language at North Middle School. Congratulations, Rebecca. Those are our tenure recommendations for this evening. Congratulations to all. We're very happy to have you into the Lynbrook family, and we wish you many years of success as you touch the lives of many students who will come before you. So congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Burek. Moving on to resolutions. We have two retirement resolutions this evening. Mr. Pascoff, I believe you'll be reading the first one. We'll handle both of them by consent agenda.
Okay. This is number 2006C1, whereas Mrs. Marianna Flannery in the Lynbrook Union Free District School, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2020, close of business after 36 years of service to the principals, staff, students, and parents of Marion Street Elementary School. And whereas Marianna has had the good fortune of teaching at Marion Street for her entire career, making a home in the primary grades, during her tenure, she inspired children in the kindergarten, first grade, and second grade classrooms. She also provided small group instruction to students as a math interventionist. Marianna found the perfect balance between raising her 3 children and teaching part-time. Only when the time was right did she return to the classroom as a full-time teacher. Marianna spent the last 20 years welcoming Marion Street's second grade students to her classroom. And whereas from the start of her career, Marianna has been a natural in the classroom. From the outset, Marianna has displayed genuine enthusiasm for teaching, has been on a quest to make learning engaging for her students, and is the spark that ignites her students. After 36 years, those qualities have never dwindled, instead continue to grow. Her intuition allows her to find each of her students' inner talents and strengths. Her students are afforded an exceptional experience in her classroom. Mrs. Flannery practically coined the phrase growth mindset as the students learn that with hard work and perseverance, anything is possible. Mrs. Flannery's students are proud of their achievements and proudly call themselves Ms. Flannery's Room 35 Achievers. And whereas Marianna's contribution to learning and students expands beyond the classroom, Ms. Flannery proudly incorporated her flair for music, playing the piano, and singing not only in her classroom, but in the many original productions of the first grade play. In recent years, Ms. Flannery is the lead singer in the production of Patriotic Sing-Along. In her early years, Marianna served as a member of the Marion Street Faculty Cabinet. Since then, she has been the grade level chair and PTA teacher representative. Compact member active with the Cyber Seniors and co-chair of Family Math Night. These have been valuable opportunities for Marianna to not only make lively and intelligent contributions, but always consider the areas and the ideas and perspectives of others. And whereas Marianna has always been eager to seek new experiences for her students, over the years she has adjusted her teaching to reflect the current best practices. She has hosted authors' teas, created interdisciplinary units of instruction, embraced technology and coding, and even instituted the 30/30 Club to encourage independent reading over the summer months. And whereas the Board of Education thanks Mrs. Flannery for her commitment to Lynbrook schools and wishes her a happy and healthy retirement with her husband Seamus, Marianna will continue her new journey with her children, Sarah, Michael, and Cara Grace. With her retirement, she is looking forward to giving her family and friends the gift of time. She will be off to create new memories while adventuring out on the road with her husband as they fulfill their lifelong dream of traveling and exploring in a newly purchased RV. May the road before her be safe and filled with new adventures. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Mrs. Marianna Flannery for purposes of retirement. Just to add a personal note, my son Walter had her in second grade, and she did a fantastic job. And Marianna, if you're in the audience, I'm giving you a virtual hug. So, thanks for all your service.
Thank you, Mr. Pascal.
Marianne is one of the good ones.
We have a second retirement resolution tonight. Mrs. Marcus?
2006C2, whereas Mrs. Patricia Harmon, a school nurse in the Lynbrook Union Free School District at Our Lady of Peace School, has announced her intention to retire effective June 30th, 2020, after 26 years. Whereas during this time, Mrs. Harmon has served the students, staff, and community of Our Lady of Peace School as an exemplary school nurse, respected and well-liked by her colleagues and the many hundreds of students she cared for over the years. And whereas Mrs. Harmon is a special nurse, she is a caring and compassionate person, and it was evident that being a school nurse was her lifelong calling. Whereas Mrs. Harmon not only put on Band-Aids and wiped tears, she also passed on her strong sense of values. Mrs. Harmon was always there to lend a helping hand, to give a shoulder to cry on, to keep an eye on the kids, faculty, and staff, for a pep talk, or for just being there. And whereas Mrs. Harmon cared for every student as if they were her own, ensuring they were properly cared for and met all of their medical needs. Whereas Mrs. Harmon demonstrated a high standard of professionalism and treated everyone with respect and dignity. And whereas you meet a person like Patty Harmon once in a lifetime, she's one of a kind. She is a person you will always treasure. And whereas the Board of Education extends a heartfelt thanks to Mrs. Harmon for her years of service to Our Lady of Peace School and wishes her happy and healthy retirement filled with time with her husband, Mikey, and children and grandchildren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Mrs. Patricia Harmon for the purposes of retirement.
Congratulations.
Now, I didn't know Mrs. Harmon personally, but being that I had a child who was a type 1 diabetic from 6 years old until he graduated high school, he was a frequent flyer to the nurse's office. I was in touch with the nurses in every building and know how important the nurses are. So thank you, Mrs. Harmon, for your 26 years of service.
Congratulations. Moving on with the agenda, Mr. Pascal, correspondence to the board.
We received emails from 7 parents regarding the award ceremonies that we recently had. We received an email from a parent regarding distance learning, a parent regarding the proposed budget, a parent regarding Dr. Tiebener, two from parents regarding middle school, three from parents regarding a middle school principal video, one from a parent regarding special services, one from a parent regarding special education room at South and a Board of Education inspection, one from a resident regarding Meet the Candidates Night, one from a parent regarding graduation plans, and one from a parent regarding fall plans. In addition to that, we received an invitation to the Kindergarten Center graduation parade, the Marion Street graduation parade, the West End graduation parade, and the Waverly Park graduation parade. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Paskoff. Moving on to report from trustees, we had our first reading tonight for several policies that need to be modified or added in response to remote learning. They all can be found on our website under the June 10th meeting. Policy 4525 is computer network, electronic records, and acceptable use. There's also 4526.4, which is new, remote learning, acceptable use technology. Policy 5100 for student attendance, 5465 for child abuse in educational setting, and policy 5500 for student records. There is no old business. Well, I pull it back. Any comments or thoughts from the trustees? Any reports from trustees? No old business.
I did want to just say one quick thing. A member of the community reached out to me, had spoken with members of Alice Marie Bresnahan's family, and evidently wanted to just pass on to us how thrilled the family was over the decision to name the building. And they just, the word the person used was they were totally overwhelmed and thrilled. And I wanted to pass that on to the board. I know a lot of people in the community, you know, really had a soft spot for Alice too. So I'm thrilled we were able to do that for the family.
Excellent effort that will keep her memory going for a great long time. Yes, Mrs. Danino.
I just wanted to mention that I had been watching some of the work that our students have been doing, and I've noticed the SGA has made some really great videos, and some of them they've taken upon themselves and really hitting, you know, with the distance learning about what's going on in this world, and they really are doing a great job.
Thank you, Mrs. Danino. I think that just highlights the fact of how far we've all come, our students, our teachers, and our community, with getting comfortable with something that we were all very chaotic in the beginning. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think having high expectations for September is appropriate, and I'm pretty sure we're going to actually end up meeting that. So it's great to see that progress and the satisfaction that's coming with it. Nothing else from the board. Going on to new business. Again, as I alluded to earlier, you know, every day it's entertaining to see what the governor's next decision will be. So on Sunday, June 7th, Governor Cuomo announced an executive order, which he loves to give out, I guess, that he extended the deadline to mail in ballots, thus changing the date of our school budget and election to June 16th. Some districts in the state did not get their ballots out in a timely fashion, so the extension gives individuals time to mail in their ballots. Ballots delivered in person were accepted until 5 p.m. on the original date of the election, which was yesterday, June 9th. So if you want to walk your ballot in, the last chance to do it was yesterday at 5 o'clock. Only ballots that are mailed and received by 5 p.m. on June 16th will be counted. The counting, which they call the canvassing of those ballots, will begin at 5 p.m. on June 16th, next week. Our meeting to accept the results will be held that same evening. So in essence, if you haven't gotten your votes in yet, if you haven't got your ballots in, the only option now is to mail it and have to be received by the 16th at 5 p.m. To date, we have received over 3,700 ballots as of today. Superintendent's report, Dr. Burek.
Thank you very much. Continuing along with some good news, I'd like to start off with some good news for the first time during this school closure period. June is usually when we have the You Go the Distance recognition. That's a recognition for teachers or staff members who have gone above and beyond in support of our students and in support of the efforts of the district. So this evening, I'm very pleased to acknowledge the following people for this award. First one is Jessica Eitengon. Jessica Eitengon is a kindergarten teacher. And around March 30th, the principal, Mrs. Postman, started to have a conversation with her staff about transitioning to a learning management platform. And at that time, Jessica took it upon herself to begin to do research about a platform and saw that Seesaw was an excellent platform that could be used for 2 months without a fee. You know, we train them well, try to get the best bang for your buck here in Lynbrook. So she got a 2-month for free, and she was able to get the kindergarten staff teachers to use the platform for the 2 months, and then able to get the whole staff using this for the duration of the school closure, which of course then expanded into grades 1 and 2 as people saw as the closure continued and the remote learning continuity of learning plan continued on. So she began to learn the program herself, and then she offered to teach the staff, and she put in a lot of extra time working one-on-one, doing online teams staff development with anyone who needed assistance. And we're actually very grateful that she took that initiative, went above and beyond, saw that there was a need to have that communication, to have that connection with the kids in a nice, well-managed program. So for that, Jessica, we recognize you for going the distance, and I will have your award. I'm going to make it my business to get around and personally, somehow, social distance, present you with your You Go the Distance award. So congratulations, Jessica. The next person I'm very pleased to recognize tonight was a last-minute addition, actually, that the board allowed administration to bring into the fold at the end of last summer. As you know, we've been watching the demographics of our district change over recent years, and we've been doing our best to try to bring certain groups of families into the Lynbrook family and have them feel welcome and have them feel comfortable. So with a growing Hispanic population and students who have English as a second language, we wanted to best support those families so that the families whose parents perhaps did not speak English, we wanted to make sure that they understood what was going on in the district. So we rely on our ENL teachers to do that. But with the growing number that we've seen, we realize we need some coordination. So at the last minute, last summer, the board allowed us to bring on an ENL chairperson, which was a new position that we had never had. And boy, was it the right decision to do, because Madeline Torres has actually taken that and had such initiative, and she helped facilitate so many different means of communication with the families and helped get the message of the Lynbrook schools out to the families, helped support students in the classroom, support teachers, support students in the classroom. And she has done numerous translations on behalf of the district, just as part of how she feels her role should have evolved. So we're extremely grateful. Maddie Torres, she goes above and beyond every day. And for that, we award the You Go the Distance for Maddie Torres this evening. So congratulations, Maddie. Both of them are housed in the kindergarten center. So that's a nice thing. Kindergarten center is a nice, strong group. Another nice, strong group is an entire building. I'm actually pleased. I love when I'm able to recognize a whole building for working cohesively with a common goal, with a common purpose, and that is doing what's right for kids. So when the school closure came about, Mr. Fallon and the teachers at North Middle School, they stepped right up to the plate. They knew what they had to do to keep the connections with the kids and provide the remote instruction that was appropriate for them. We had some teachers, you know, truly go to the extremes in taking surveys of how the remote learning was going, but collectively, the whole group really worked together and complemented each other as they navigated through this in the support of their students. And so I'm very pleased to announce that I'm awarding the You Go the Distance to the entire staff of North Middle School under the leadership of Mr. Fallon. So congratulations, North Middle. And last but certainly not least, I think what we've learned during this whole continuity of learning plan is technology. You know, many years ago, technology was taboo, and people were afraid of technology. People didn't know how to implement technology, and slowly but surely, we got people on board and increased the level of usage and implementation in the classrooms. A time that comes when where school is closed and you're forced to do it, That's when everybody has to plunge in, and obviously people do it at various rates of speed, and we have to nurture people and move them along as quickly as we can. I would have to say for the last 3 months, there has been one individual who has worked around the clock in support of the program. And truly our remote learning fell on the shoulders of one particular person who had to navigate professional development, organize all of that, programs, even the non-instructional things. He happens to be the instructional technology coordinator, but he did a lot of non-instructional items like helping to support the PTA with the Meet the Candidates night, helping train the board members in how to hold a meeting like this. So he held one-on-one trainings with all the board members. And for that, truly, Neil McDermott, our instructional technology coordinator, has gone above and beyond during this whole school closure continuity of learning plan. So congratulations, Neil McDermott, for going the distance on behalf of the students. So thank you. I'm next going to turn it over to Dr. Balekis for our curriculum update.
Thank you, Dr. Burak. As a follow-up to last week's meeting, I'm happy to report that the LMS committee, the Learning Management System committee, has made a decision to move forward with the Seesaw platform in grades K-3, which is actually the one that Dr. Burak actually mentioned a few minutes ago that Jessica Adegan had helped bring into the kindergarten center. We'll be using that in grades K-3 next year, and Schoology in grades in grades 4 to 12. These platforms are very important to us as they'll help organize our students' work and facilitate better communication between the school and the homes next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balekis. So that component of our remote learning plan tied up one piece of our initial reopening committee. Last week, the committee presented a new plan should the district go on a full remote instruction beginning either in September or at any point during the school year when we may need to switch abruptly as we did this past March. So we wanted to make sure that that opening was set and put in place for our September reopening, whether it be September or at any point during the year. That was one option. Another option, which is a dream and obviously the ideal, is that we all return in September in unison. Instructionally, that would be the best scenario. Of course, proper cleaning protocols would be in place, protective measures would be in place to ensure safety of all in our buildings. And in addition, I think it would be fair to say that we would limit the outside visitors to our buildings should all staff and students return in totality. So those are two options. We're either all on remote or we're all in with safeguards. However, when last week I was asked about other options, I responded by saying we are awaiting guidance from the governor. Interestingly, the New York City Education Department just today rolled out their reopening plan. They began to share information about their reopening plan. But sadly, our governor, New York State Education Department, has not issued guidance yet. So other states have issued guidance so that the schools can truly plan appropriately. But while we still await, we cannot wait any longer. We need to move forward and while we await for the latest and greatest. So therefore, a third option for reopening obviously involves some type of a hybrid model, which was actually mentioned today from New York City. So the hybrid model would involve some form of a percentage of in-person teaching as well as remote learning, or therefore a blended type of approach. So in that hybrid could actually take the shape of two forms. Either everyone in the district is attending every other day, while one half learns in school, another half would learn in the home environment, and then switch the following day. So it would sort of be like an even and an odd type of live instruction, K-12 across the board. And that's just one hybrid model. It all depends on the limitations that the state education department would put on schools. For example, one state has stated that it's 50% capacity. So that's at least some guideline that schools can follow. One state has already issued that guidance. Another has issued guidance that there can be no more than 10 students in a classroom. So that's a whole nother approach to it. So once again, we're still awaiting New York guidance, but at least that gives us some idea of how we need to approach planning for next year. So if there's a limit of 10 to a classroom, then there's maneuvering that needs to be done. So at this point, I think it's fair to say that the committee and the task force, basically, that we have already convened, needs to continue to discuss different hybrid models. So today was Long Island's opening of phase 2. So I'm introducing phase 2 of our replanning task force committee work for next year. So in the next phase of our committee work, and there will probably be different committee members just to get a different perspective as we approach. But we see that there are several major categories that need to be discussed. So one would obviously be instruction. So how would instruction take place in this hybrid model? So that's going to be one category that would be under analysis. This time, if we're talking about students actually coming in on an every other day or some type of a hybrid model, transportation now has to be an area under discussion. So that will be another focus group, transportation. Also, again, since people will be entering our facilities now becomes another conversation, another subgroup in this committee. Again, health protocols. We have to make sure that we follow health protocols, and if there's screening that's involved as we await the guidance, we'll have to make sure that all of that is under discussion. So that will be another category. And then, of course, there's extracurricular and athletics. So that's another category. So those are going to be major focus groups in this committee, in this task force, in our next phase. So we will begin those discussions while still some of the subcommittees of our phase 1 committee, while some of those are still continuing, we're going to begin phase 2 of this committee. Again, representation from all constituents will be included, and individual subgroups may push out surveys to gather some additional input from the community at large and their specific purpose. That will be done similarly to the way I pushed out the summer playground survey yesterday. So if you haven't seen it, I pushed out a survey to elementary and middle school families yesterday. We're going to keep that survey open through the weekend, and then we'll be able to gather input to see if we should plan for a summer playground program based on the interest that we receive from that. So again, we'll keep you posted on all of the progress, and our board will have another work session. I know next week we're meeting again because of the budget vote, so that will be one session. That will be just for the budget. Depending on the results of that budget, there may be another work session the following week. But also on the calendar, there is definitely a work session on Tuesday, June 30th. So I'm hopeful that by then we may have some guidance from the governor, from the state education department, and maybe we'll be able to share more, if not sooner, at least by June 30th. So that's the update right now as far as our reopening plans. And I'll turn it over now to Dr. Lynch for our.
Dr. Beer. Yeah, so before we go on, again, thank you for all the work that you and your staff are doing. It's important when it comes to communication that we're very clear, because this administration, this board is taking the time to meet every week, because that's how quickly information is coming out. So every day there's a new executive order coming out of the governor's office, and yet there's a failure to give us any guidance. We've been asked and tasked with providing him with information without any guidance. So it's very possible that when our plans get back up to Albany, when they receive those plans, we have no idea what we'll get back. And in fact, the one thing we have always asked for, that the cause we have always championed, is for local control. The state of Indiana decided that their state education department announced that their school districts themselves will make up their own plans and execute and implement their own plans. And I've always felt that our administration and our staff and our community understood what the needs of our community and students were, and that's something that Albany should be doing for us. But let's not be mistaken about the fact that no matter what efforts we put forward, in July and August, after all our plans are put into it, based upon what we've seen since the beginning of this situation, the executive orders may come down that change everything we're doing. So while our plan and our hope has been since the beginning of this process to come up with plans, announce it to our community, let them be comfortable with what we're doing, and let us plan for it, that's out of our control. Until we get more information from Albany, we could be sitting here at the end of August, weeks before our school opens, and have to make changes based upon what decisions are made there. It's clear that people understand that's where that's being driven from, not internally from our district. Thank you again, Dr. Bray.
Correct. Dr. Lynch, the annual district safety plan update.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burek. So tonight, there is a legal requirement that once a year, we update the board and the community as to the status of our health and safety plan. So really, the process happens all year long. So there is a district-wide health and safety committee that meets 4 times a year, and Mr. Belmont is on it, all the members of the central administration on it, all the principals are on it. There's a member of the community on it. There are parents on it, members of the teachers union, the teacher aides and assistants union, the secretarial staff. We have vital members of our law enforcement are there. So Lynbrook Police is represented, Nassau County 4th Precinct is represented, and Nassau County Homeland Security is represented. So it's about a group of 22 people, and it's some really great, robust discussions. But really, the job of that committee is to monitor the safety plan, and because it is a living document. So this year, it was more living than we wanted it to be. There is a whole component of the plan, which is the pandemic planning aspect. So that would have fallen into the auspices of this committee. And I have to say, we worked very hard all year. And so the last meeting of the Health and Safety Committee that was live was on March the 13th. It was the last meeting any of us were at in the building. And we were all together in a room. And little did we know that on Sunday, we would be closed for the rest of the year. I am happy to say that on May 29th, we met virtually. And those same people all came in and had a discussion. And they approved the draft of the health and safety plan that is now being presented to the board. So the board has it in their possession. They get to read it. And at the July meeting, they will adopt a draft version, which then they will also task me by resolution to post it on the district's website. And then it is open for the comments of the public for the next 30 days. And then after that public comment meeting, there will be an adoption of the full plan at the August meeting. Simultaneously, while all of that is happening at the district level, there are building level committees that are meeting. So I don't want to say there are more important people on that health and safety committee, but there are. Those people are the principals. The principals then go back from our district level health and safety committee and meet with the local committees. And they address in fine detail as to which doors are going to be used. What should be locked? What should be open? How should we do this drill? How should we do that drill? And therefore, that becomes part of the record of what the board is also approving. The one big difference between a health and safety plan at the district level, which is going to be posted on the website, which is a very public document, those are incredibly private documents. As we always say, that's where the deepest secrets of the district are kept, and we don't want the bad guys to know how we're planning to thwart them. So, however, the board will be approving all of those by the same process, and that's really the update as we go on tonight. So any questions from the board regarding the health and safety plan? Dr. Burek would like me to continue. The next item is my capital projects update, so I will continue going. So the capital projects update, obviously, if you've driven past Lynbrook High School, you know that the high school project is up and running and is doing very well. Progress is being made there. Also, if you've been down at Waverly Park recently, you'll also know that the elevator project is underway. So those are the two major projects that are quite obvious and you can see. Just today, with the job kickoff meetings for two major summer projects, the last minor projects of the bond, which are the air conditioning at West End and the air conditioning at Marion Street. So you should see work start to get done on those very soon. Then tonight on the board meeting, you will see that the board has adopted bids for this summer's projects. So these are projects that the voters voted on a year ago, and now they've gone through the state. We've put them out to bid. So now the high school roofing project, so the library roof, the staircase roofs, all of that area needs to be redone, and that will be beginning this summer, and a girls' room at North Middle School. So once again, lots of construction going on, lots of business taking care of the facilities of this district.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. And that would be our report.
Ask a quick question to Dr. Lynch.
Yes.
I know initially we were a little behind in the high school project because of the COVID-19 restrictions. And where are we now? Do we know, like,
So that is a great question. So we are 5 weeks behind because of the COVID-19 project. So they are starting to build up speed and are starting to make up some of that time. But the asterisk I want to put on that, the caveat I want to put on that, is we're racing against the first frost. So once the winter starts, and as you know, we don't know when that first frost comes in and when it gets very cold, the masons will have to stop, the roofers will have to stop. So let's hope for a very mild autumn and even a mild winter so they can keep going and really make up for that time. But so that's the current status. Thanks for that question.
Anything else from the board? Okay, moving on to public comment. We have no questions from the community this evening. So again, I think it's important to stress to the members of the community that are watching this video. I believe the video is recorded. They can go back to the website and watch it, but this is the place to get the information. And this community has constantly asked for clearer communication. This board and this administration are doing a great job of that. There are weekly updates from the administration and the principals. When something's urgent, it goes out by phone call, and we've now had weekly meetings to get information out to the community. So there should be no questions about what's taking place or what needs to be done. And as noted, our next meeting will be held after the vote count on the 16th. We don't have a time for that. It'll be at some point in that evening. We'll try to update you as it gets closer, but that will be the next time we are together, and we will have an understanding of where our situation is regarding the budget. We have 2 sympathy resolutions this evening that will take place during the consent agenda. The first is for Ralph Fowler. Whereas the members of the Board of Education of the Lynbrook Union Free School District have learned with sorrow of the recent passing of Ralph Fowler, former custodian of the Lynbrook School District. And whereas Mr. Fowler served as a custodian for 33 years, from 1968 through 2001, as a custodian at the high school. And whereas the Board of Education is mindful of the contributions made to our district by Mr. Fowler during his years of service to our community. Be it resolved that the Board of Education records its sorrow, its sympathy, and the esteem in which Mr. Fowler was held. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the family of Mr. Ralph Fowler with the hope they will find solace and comfort in the rich heritage of good works for which he is remembered and revered. Second resolution, sympathy resolution, Helen Zanotti. Whereas the members of the Board of Education of the Lynbrook Union Free School District have learned with sorrow of the recent passing of Helen Zanotti, former Latin teacher in the Lynbrook School District. And whereas Mrs. Zanotti served as a Latin teacher for 11 years, from 1985 through 1996 at North Middle School. And whereas the Board of Education is mindful of the contributions made to our district by Ms. Zanotti during her years of service to our community. Be it resolved that the Board of Education records its sorrow, its sympathy, and the esteem of which Ms. Zanotti was held. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the family of Ms. Helen Zanotti with the hope they will find solace and comfort in the rich heritage of good works for which she is remembered and revered. That completes our resolutions. Seeing nothing else from the board, we're going to move on to consent agenda. I'd like to ask for a consent agenda on resolutions 2006C1 through 2006C18, 2006NC1 through 2006NC3, 2006G1 through 2006G22. May I have a motion, please, Mr. Yeager? Second, Mrs. Marcus. I'd like to have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Mr. Pascoff, second, Mr. Yeager. All in favor? Thank you. That concludes our, as noted, we will be together next week on the 16th to canvass and count the votes. Everyone stay healthy, happy, and busy. Have a good evening.